Well, today we're ending 2023. We hope that you and your family have had somewhat of a good year. I know it's been a crazy one, and I don't think 2024 is going to be any easier. But today's video, we're going to be discussing just that. Some hard times, but not just for everyone. We're talking about people that live in the city. Today, we're going to be discussing how and why we should be getting out of the city, and also the dangers of living in the city in a chaotic time. This year, I believe we're going to face crazy challenges. And the more that we put ourselves in precarious situations like living in cities, I think it could get worse. This video is not for just the 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds or 40-years trying to think about moving out of the city. This is also for the 50, 60, 70, and 80-year-olds, because I don't think it's safe for anyone to live in the city. Let's talk about it, the reasons why, and again, in a prepper's mindset and trying to gain wisdom and common sense. Why would we want to move in the cities, and why would we want to live out of the cities? We're going to talk about that today. Let's jump into it. Today's video starts right now.
Seems like time as a wave passing by, leave a mark.
Hey guys, welcome to our channel, The Max. I hope that you are hopefully having a good New Year's Eve. You can see the sun is coming up here. We're filming. I hope you took your family to church. I think it's a great thing to do for your family, is to develop a habit this year of saying, you know what, as crazy it is, we're going to try to ground ourselves in faith. We're going to try to ground ourselves in common sense knowledge, do our research, and try to kind of wind ourselves through this crazy year that I think that we're fixing to see for 2024. Now, if you're new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up. Remember, we are doing a giveaway. This is the last day for the December giveaway. We're going to be giving away something tomorrow in the video. All it takes is you subscribed, you giving a thumbs up, and just commenting below, hey, I'm subscribed to the channel, and then comment whatever you want about the video if you agree or disagree. Now, today, let's talk about moving out of the cities and why and what you should be doing. I'm going to start off with a quote that says, we have reached a breaking point. If you do not have a border, you do not have a country. Now, I just told you we're talking about cities. Why are we talking about the border? We talked about the border yesterday. Well, that's just it. Most cities have become a sanctuary paradise. They call themselves sanctuary cities, and in the namesake, it won them brownie points with a bunch of liberals. However, when it comes to the practice of it, most cities are failing now because they are allowing sanctuary cities to take over and allowing this immigration, this illegal immigration push into their cities. Do you realize there's more homeless than it's ever been? There's more American citizens not able to afford living conditions. So therefore, and the cities can't take care of the people that's already living there that are American citizens. So now we're influxed with about 6 to 7 million people over the last 12 to 18 months. If that's the case, and truly it's probably way more than that, but if that's the case and they're moving to the cities when the cities couldn't take care of the homeless and the people that's already living there, how do you think they can take care of the other people? Came out on January 1st that California, the bigger cities, are going to provide health care for no cost. Chicago, New York, they're housing illegal immigrants already. They're taking your taxpayer dollars to do that. So the cities are now overrun with more people that are not working, that are on the government's dole, and it's making more people lose jobs, more people live on the streets, more people not have the places to go. And also, people are on top of people. Have you seen the footage of millions of people coming into certain areas? Not just in Texas. Look at the cities. So first and foremost, because we've not closed the border, the cities are being influxed with millions of extra people. This will cause a hardship for the living conditions, tax wages, because the taxing of people have to take care of the extra millions that are not working. This is not viable. Also, remember, if cities are going to this extreme to house all these people, if all of a sudden something goes wrong or they're needing more federal help, who steps in? Federal Emergency Management, FEMA. Do we really want our cities ran by maybe national government because the cities can't contain it? That could be a very big possibility. And if the national government comes in and takes over some of these cities because of the illegal immigration, how's that going to affect you? Now, that was illegal immigration. Now, number two is actually the homeless population. The homeless population has went up to its all-time high. I'm gonna read a story from Zero Hedge. It says, Portland's feces crisis has triggered bacterial outbreaks normally found in third world countries. We have so many people living on the streets that there's so much squalor, there's so much drugs, there's so much unkept areas because the cities can't even take care of the people, much less the situation with all the influx of millions of immigrants. How in the world can we make sure that we have a sanitized city? How safe is the cities when the streets are filled with squalor? Now, we talk about outbreaks. What? Outbreaks? I mean, we're seeing variants go crazy. We're seeing all these stories about all these, tuberculosis in certain areas in the cities. And now all of a sudden, because of fecal matter and because of squalor, now we're seeing major implications of bacterial outbreaks. So the city's not safe because there's so many people living on the streets, and the sanitation element of it cannot happen. If people are living on the streets, again, who has to come in and take care of them? Well, the taxpayer does. Well, if the cities are struggling, for instance, San Francisco, there was a business interviewed and said, we are shutting down so much that our local businesses can't even get bank loans. Bankers are scared that these businesses are moving out, so they're not even making loans. So the city businesses are struggling, and they're starting to move away from this to get better places to do business because no one wants to come into their business. So the more we let the cities go to squalor, the more we're allowing homelessness to live there, the more we're allowing the housing of immigrants, the more we're causing businesses to leave these cities. And then we're becoming a third world country in these cities. Look at the cities. Look at the video coverage. Don't take my word for it. Look at the video coverage of these cities and how they're falling to pieces. Thirdly, it costs more to live in the city. Every time we go to the city, I have to pay for a parking pass. I have to turn around and go to groceries that cost more. I have to turn around and pay more to stay wherever I'm staying. Average rent in the city is 30% higher than it is in rural America. Average cost of homes are higher than it is in rural America. So why are we wanting to live in cities when it costs more to live there? Why are we wanting to listen to these policies and these extra taxes? For instance, when we owned a property in a bigger area, it was a tourism style area. That area charged an extra 3.5% tourism tax, and then they charged an extra 1.5% for something dealing with the city and taking care of all the extra people coming in. So I had an extra 5 or 6% tax. Now that's been years and years ago, and I don't know if they still practice that or not, but more cities are having to overtax its population because of all the things that they have to take care of and quote unquote the amenities in that city. So the cost of doing business is higher in the cities. So if you're looking to rent or buy a home, the more you live closer to the city, the convenience element, the more you want to walk around downtown that's in squalor, the more you're paying for it. So is it worth it? Because the cost of living is way higher. And lastly, it's liberal policies. Now, I don't care if you're conservative or liberal, but the policies of the liberal states and the liberal Democrats in these cities are more of control. You can say what you want. You saw more lockdowns. You saw more curfews. You see more overreach in the cities. Now, if that's what you like, so be it. I think that's crazy. But, I'm out here. I live in Mississippi, so it's very economical to live in Mississippi. But do you see this? You see trees. You see grass. You're not close on someone else. Now, the thing is, I'm not saying go and buy 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 acres. I'm saying just go buy an acre and live in the rural areas. You're going to save money over time because it's going to cost you less. Think about all the parking fees you have. Just like the last point of the cost. Think of the cost that you're going to be saving. But also, if something goes wrong, you and your family are in this one little single home out in the middle of the rural area. It could be tough. Yes, it may take you a while to go get milk or go get groceries. But ultimately, you're not around millions of other people that are being told what to do. The overreach of government, the liberal policies of lockdown. Your freedoms are not infringed upon. There's not a lot of cities who believe in freedoms and liberties such as, 2A rights. Think of the protests that are going on. They tend to be one-sided, huh? We're not seeing a lot of protest that's on the conservative side. It tends to be on the liberal side. So it's always double standards in these cities. So if you are a conservative, if you do value freedom, I don't see how you can live in the cities. So we're not going to even talk about the looting. We're not going to talk about the locked up grocery stores. We're not going to talk about the businesses closing down. That's all things you should know. But just these few little things is the reasons we should be moving out of the city. Now, how can we move out of the city? Well, first and foremost, you just got to start saving some money. Now, I know people are saying, well, I'm too old, I'm not moving out of the city, or I'm too young, I don't have the money to move. Just think about doing co-op of land. Think about going in and buying it with someone else. Think about trying to find a rent property somewhere close that's outside the city. You know, here in Mississippi, you can pretty much find a rental home just about anywhere you want in part of the county that you want. You may not can find that in New York. You may not can find that in California. But is it wrong for you to say, you know what, I may need to move not just 10 miles, I may need to move 100 miles. I may need to move 200 miles. Remember, we have to change our thought pattern, especially as we move into a year that's going to be volatile. What if all of a sudden you are a conservative and you are even a Trump supporter and your state is dealing with the fact of wanting to take him off the ballot? Do you support that? What if your child's in a school that's supporting very, very liberal policies? Do you support that? So sometimes it may take you moving. It may be a big step to get out of the cities, but it may be all worth it. If it has to change jobs, change jobs. It's going to save you money over time because the cost of living in that city, remember, is about 30 to 40% higher than rural America. So sometimes it may be smart to move, but you have to start budgeting and start saving for that. If you can't sell your property, maybe look at doing an Airbnb or VRBO until you can get rid of it. It's a bad time to sell property, but it may be where you can at least make some income to get out of that, then turn around and move to rural America. Another benefit to moving out of the town, think about it. What if you could raise some chickens in a little garden? Now, you don't have to be a full-time farmer. You don't have to come out here and raise 30 pig and 20 head of cattle and try to raise all your food sustainable, 100% off farm. I'm not saying do that. But I'm saying, what if you could go out somewhere where you don't have an HOA or you don't have some kind of inconvenient overreach by your tenant or your landlord? You'd be surprised in rural America how lenient and lax they are. As long as you just pay your bills, treat the property right, most people are saying, hey, do what you want to do with it. That's the benefit of living in places like rural America versus living in the cities. You've got to get out of them. Now, for the ones who are just dead set on staying in the cities, here's what you need to do. Your city is all ran off the grid. What if the grid goes down? You need alternative energy. So you need to be looking at some kind of solar generator or battery pack, or if you can have a propane generator, gas generator, you need to have that. Think about sanitation. We talked about living in squalor in all these areas. Well, remember, your plumbing, all your sewer, especially if you live in apartment buildings or in a suburb that is tied to the same style drainage, what are you going to do? And all of a sudden the grid goes down, or all of a sudden it's not working, it's stopped up, and you have sewage, or you have to clean yourself or have hygiene issues. That's things to think about. So let's think about that. So if you have alternative energy, great. Now let's think about, okay, if we need sanitation, do we have enough water? Do we have enough hygiene wipes? Do we have enough ways that we can get through any situation like that? Thirdly, think about food. Do you have the food? You know, if you look at some of the stores in the biggest cities, because of looters, they've got it all locked up. So it's already hard to get your groceries because of all the problems that cities are seeing. So do you have some food that is stockpiled up? If you don't have at least 7 to 30 days put up, you are unprepared. Now, I believe you need more than that. But if you don't have at least that, you are a sitting duck in a pond and the guys are over there shooting. You have got to remember to take care of yourself. When you live in the city, you got to have extra precaution. You have to look at ways that you can be the gray man. You have to find ways that if you're going to have to bug in, you better be ready. It's going to be a lot harder for people who live in the city because there's a lot more people you have to deal with compared to county and rural living. So I challenge you, get out of the cities because of these reasons we talked about. If you're not, you better have food and water and alternative energy, and you better have a lot of it. You better have a way to defend it too, because remember, if they're looting stores, what happens when all the stores are looted and there's nothing else there? There's no other goods. There's no one else pulling extra goods in. FEMA stepped in and they're going to be bringing a lot of stuff, but it's not going to be enough for everybody there, including the legal immigrants. They're going to be coming for you. So you better trust your neighbors. You better have a good community that can work together, because it's going to get tough for you. Now, I'm not trying to scare you for 2024. What I'm trying to do is encourage you to get out of the cities. If you get out of the cities, I promise you, you will have a better outlook. You will think more clearly. You'll breathe better, for one thing. But you're going to realize your cost is going to go down, and you're going to feel safe. Your family's going to be more safe, and you're going to have a security like no other. As a prepper, as someone who wants to live sustainable, I could not imagine living in the cities. I couldn't sleep at night knowing that I had to live in the city and deal with what may come. Have to defend against millions and millions and millions versus just trying to take care of my place here. Hard times will come. we are fixing to see major implications. We have Trump that's maybe getting kicked off. 20 ballots is going to go to the Supreme Court. No matter what the outcome is for 2024, we're so polarized. One side or the other is going to be displeased, and it's going to take it to the streets. They don't take it to the streets in rural America. They take it to the cities. So be prepared. 2024 will be crazy. So I'm challenging you now, before it starts, start making a plan to get out of the cities. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about this video. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to encourage you to get out of the cities. And remember, 2023 is ending. It's on a Sunday, so I hope you took your family to church. 2024 is starting. You have to ground yourself in faith to go through anything that we're facing to go through. It's going to be a spiritual battle more than anything else. So I challenge you, take your family to church, learn who Christ is, get in the Word of God, and understand that we can make it through it. Even as volatile as 2024 will be, we can do it. I challenge you, take care of your families, get out of the cities. Don't say you can't, you can. I promise you, you can. Think through some of the ways that you can do it. And if you choose to stay, remember, cover these few things that we talked about. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless. Happy homestead, y'all.
This old town, just leave it all behind. The river's gonna cry when you're gone.